I never thought I'd be the one to take a sledgehammer to my own life, to swing it wild and reckless until everything I'd built, everything I loved, lay in ruins at my feet. 9 years with Ben had been a quiet, steady kind of beautiful, the sort you don't fully appreciate until it's gone, until you're left sifting through the shards wondering how you let it slip away. We'd met in our late 20s at a friend's housewarming in Denver. A sticky August night in 2015, the air thick with barbecue smoke and the drone of cicadas. I was a graphic designer back then, freelancing mostly, showing up to parties with a coffee stain on my thrift store blouse, my chestnut hair yanked into a messy bun, my laugh too loud for the room. Ben was a high school history teacher, fresh off his first year at East High, all lopsided grins and awkward charm, his sandy hair perpetually mussed, his hazel eyes crinkling when he got nervous, which was often around me at first. He tripped over a cooler that night, splashed half a Coors Light across my beat-up Converse, and stammered apologies until I cut him off with, "Just buy me a beer, klutz," grinning to ease his flush. He did, handed me a cold one from the ice chest, then lingered, fumbling through some story about Ulysses Grant's drinking habits that made me laugh harder than it should have. That was Ben. Earnest, warm, a little dorky, the kind of guy who'd show up with Advil when my head pounded or spend an hour unclogging the sink because I'd grumbled about it once. We'd built a life together, slow and deliberate. A drafty loft downtown off 16th Street our first year, then a little brick bungalow in Washington Park by 2018, its crooked mailbox and chipped blue paint a quirky badge of our story, its backyard just big enough for a second-hand grill, a patchy lawn, and a half-baked dream of a golden retriever we'd name Lincoln or maybe Rosie. He was my anchor. Kisses on my temple every morning before he left for school. Post-it notes on the fridge scrawled with, "Love you, goof," in his sloppy cursive. Lazy nights sprawled on the couch with takeout tie-in parks and rec reruns until we knew every line. Our friends called us the real deal. His mom sent me homemade fudge every Christmas. My sister Meg teased we were disgustingly adorable. Our neighbors waved from their porches like we were part of some idyllic postcard. But lately, 9 years deep, that cozy glow had started to fade, softening into a routine that felt too predictable, too tame. I craved a jolt. Something to make me feel alive again, to remind me I was still Ellie, not just Ben's wife, not just a cog in the daily grind. Started as a lark, a little harmless fun to shake the monotony. I thought I could keep it contained, keep it mine. I had no idea it'd ignite like wildfire and burn my whole world to the ground. The shift came slow, subtle, a whisper I didn't hear over the hum of our life until it grew into a roar I couldn't ignore. Ben and I were good, great even. But time had sanded down the edges of us, dulled the electric hum we'd had back when we'd stay up past midnight trading stories on his lumpy futon or sneak off to fool around in his beat-up Jeep Cherokee, parked behind some dive bar on Colfax. Those early days were messy, thrilling. Me freelancing late into the night, him grading papers at my tiny kitchen table, stealing kisses between coffee refills, our hands finding each other like magnets no matter how tired we were. We'd moved in together after a year, a hasty decision born from a busted radiator in my old place and his insistence I crash with him, just until it's fixed, which turned into forever when we signed the lease on that downtown loft, laughing as we hauled my thrift store couch up 3 flights of stairs. By year 3 we'd scraped together enough for the bungalow, a fixer-upper we painted ourselves. Him in overalls, me with rollers, both of us streaked with sage green, giggling over Radiohead blasting from his ancient boombox. We'd gotten married at year 5, a small thing at City Park under the pavilion, me in a simple white dress from Anthropology, him in a navy suit that didn't quite fit, our friends toasting with cheap Prosecco as the sun dipped low. It was us. Imperfect, real, a love I'd bet my life on. But 9 years in, that love had settled into a rhythm. Him up at 6 for school, me at my desk by 8, dinners of his chili or my half-assed stir-fry nights where he'd grade essays on the couch while I scrolled Instagram beside him, the TV muttering Jeopardy! In the background. I'd watch him sometimes, his hoodie fraying at the cuffs, his glasses fogging from soup steam, his hair falling over his forehead, and feel this pang like I missed him even though he was right there, like we were drifting in the same boat but not quite touching. I was 36 now, still fit from yoga at Core Power and the occasional Cherry Creek trail run, but the mirror felt less forgiving, fine lines etching my eyes, a softness under my jaw I'd frown at in the bathroom's harsh light. Work didn't help. I'd landed a steady gig at a mid-sized design firm off 17th Street 5 years back, cranking out logos for craft breweries and tech startups. and the days blurred into a beige slog of Adobe suites and client calls. I wasn't miserable, just restless, itching for something to snap me out of it, to prove I still had fire under the surface. That's when Josh wandered into the picture. Josh was a coworker, a junior copywriter who'd started at the firm a year ago. 29, tall and lean with a mop of dark curls that always looked like he'd just rolled out of bed, a quick laugh that sliced through the office's white noise like a shot of espresso. He'd been hired to punch up our ad copy and we'd hit it off fast, swapping eye rolls in meetings when our creative director Pam droned on about disruptive synergy, pinging each other on Slack with snarky asides about her love affair with sans serif fonts. "You're a chaos agent, Ellie," he'd say when I'd tease him about his endless coffee runs. Always a double espresso from the shop downstairs, black as tar, and I'd toss back, "Only when I'm caffeinated," grinning at the glint in his hazel eyes, the way they'd catch mine over his monitor like he saw me, really saw me in a way I hadn't felt in a while. He was young, not young but younger, full of a restless energy that bounced off my own, a sharpness that made the workday less soul-crushing. Ben liked my Josh anecdotes. He'd chuckle over spaghetti when I'd mimic Josh's rants about Pam's latest pivot, or his war with the office printer, saying, "Sounds like a character," with that easy smile of his. I didn't tell him how those chats started sticking, how I'd catch myself smiling at my desk long after Josh had logged off, how his offhand "you're a riot" would replay in my head while I chopped onions or folded towels. It was just banter, a little flirt to spice up the grind, a harmless jolt to keep me going. I thought I could keep it in a box, separate from us, Ben and me, the life we'd stitched together. I didn't see how it was already seeping out, staining everything. The slide was gradual, a slow bleed I didn't notice until I was soaked in it. Josh and I started texting outside work. Nothing heavy at first, just a, "This is you," with a meme of a raccoon causing havoc or a link to some viral video of a guy failing spectacularly at skateboarding. I'd laugh, fire back a rude, or a gif of Leslie Knope rolling her eyes, and that'd be it. 5 minutes of distraction, a little glow to carry me through dishes or Ben's recap of his students' latest shenanigans. But it didn't stay small. The thread stretched, spilling into late nights when Ben was out cold beside me, his snores a steady hum while I tucked my phone under the covers, the blue light painting my face as I smirked at Josh's riffs on his roommate's awful cooking or our intern's obsession with TikTok dances. "You're more fun than my real friends," he'd write around midnight and I'd tap back, "High bar, huh?" My chest fluttering at the edge in his tone, the way it felt personal, pointed like a secret just for me. I'd tell myself it was nothing. Ben was my heart, my bedrock, the guy who'd held me through my dad's cancer scare 3 years back, who'd danced with me in the kitchen to Springsteen when I'd landed the firm job. But Josh's words hit different, fresh and bright, waking up a part of me that had been napping too long. I'd catch him at work, slouched over his desk in a faded flannel, his eyes flicking to mine across the open-plan sprawl, past the humming printers, the half-dead ficus Pam insisted on keeping alive, and I'd feel it. A tug, a warmth pooling low, a pull I hadn't known since Ben and I were new, back when every touch was a discovery. It wasn't about leaving Ben, I'd never trade him, not for anything, but about chasing a feeling, a raw, messy want that made my blood sing. One Thursday after a brutal week of client notes, "More vibe, less clutter," whatever that meant, he messaged, "Drinks tomorrow?" Teams hitting happy hour at the local. I hesitated. Ben had a department meeting, wouldn't be home till late, but typed, "Yeah, count me in," ignoring the faint alarm bell in my gut. It was just coworkers, just a beer. I didn't see the trapdoor swinging open beneath me. The office party was at the local, a bar on Larimer Street, exposed brick, dim Edison bulbs strung across the ceiling, a Friday night clamor of laughter, clinking glasses, and a jukebox pumping out Tom Petty's American Girl. I'd thrown on dark jeans, a forest green sweater that hugged my frame and my beat-up leather jacket. Nothing fancy, but I'd let my hair down, swiped on mascara and a little lip gloss, felt a nervous hum I couldn't pin down as I parked my Honda a block away. Josh was there when I pushed through the door, perched at a high top with the team, Pam, the art director, Mike, a couple junior designers. Already 2 pints in, his grin flashing wide as he waved me over. "Saved you a seat, Trouble," he said, patting the stool next to him, his voice cutting through the din, and I laughed, slid in, ordered a gin and tonic from a waitress juggling trays like a pro. The group was loud, Mike griping about a client's make it pop nonsense, Pam nursing a Chardonnay and pontificating about visual storytelling, the interns spilling fries across the table in a clumsy grab, But Josh and I carved out our own pocket, elbows brushing, voices dropping low under the chaos. "You look good," he said after my first sip, eyeing my sweater, his tone playful but warm, and I smirked. Better than my usual yoga pants and deadline panic, feeling a flush creep up my neck despite the cool glass in my hand. The drinks piled up, gin 2, then 3, a shot of tequila Pam insisted on. The room softening, the edges fuzzing as his knee pressed mine under the table, a steady weight I didn't shift away from. "You're a problem, you know that?" he murmured after a while, leaning close, his breath sharp with IPA and close enough to graze my ear, and my heart slammed, a warning siren I drowned out with another sip. I should have stood up, waved goodnight, driven home to Ben's steady arms, the couch that smelled like his Old Spice and our shared history. But I didn't. I stayed, let his words burrow deep, let the liquor melt my guard. When the crowd thinned, 11 p.m., Pam stumbling out, Mike calling an Uber, he offered, "Walk you to your car?" I nodded, head buzzing, and we stepped into the bite of a Denver night, the skyline glittering, my Honda 2 blocks down. "You're a riot, Ellie," he said, pausing by the driver's side, his voice softer, lower, and I turned, met his gaze, felt the air crackle like static. He kissed me, quick, tentative, pulling back to gauge me. I froze, brain screaming no, body whispering yes, and then I lunged, kissed him back hard, hungry, tumbling into his back seat. Parked a row over, hands fumbling, jackets shedding, the world vanishing. It was fast, sloppy, a jolt that scorched through me, and when it stopped I sat there, sweater bunched, jeans half on, staring at the fogged window, dread pooling cold in my gut. "Fuck," I breathed, and he chuckled low. "Yeah, fuck." I scrambled out, drove home, hands trembling, swearing it was over, a one-time lapse I'd bury deep. I told myself it was done, a drunken slip I could lock away and never touch again, but the thrill stuck. Bright, jagged, a hook sinking deeper every time I tried to pull free. Josh texted the next morning, "You okay?" And I should have ignored it, deleted the thread, blocked his number, burned the bridge. Instead I wrote, "Yeah, you." My fingers shaky, and that was it. We were rolling, plunging into something I couldn't stop even if I'd wanted to. It started quiet, stolen glances at work, his fingers brushing mine when he slid me a printout of "Meet me by the coffee machine," that turned into a smirk and a hushed, "Last night was wild, huh?" Then it snowballed, lunch breaks in his Subaru, parked behind a strip mall off Broadway, quick kisses that left my lips tingling, rushed coffee runs, to a spot on Colfax when Ben thought I was grabbing shampoo at Walgreens. A frantic hookup in the office supply closet one Tuesday when the floor was empty, his hands sliding under my blouse, my breath hitching against his neck, the shelves rattling with reams of paper and forgotten staplers. "This is nuts," I'd gasp, half laughing, half sick, and he'd grin. "Nuts is the best part," tugging me closer until I forgot where the line was. I'd come home after, splash cold water on my face to kill the flush, sit across from Ben at dinner, his grilled chicken or my lazy pasta, a glass of grocery store Merlot, and feel the guilt claw my chest, his hazel eyes soft, trusting, blind to the storm I'd let loose. "Good day," he'd ask, fork halfway to his mouth, and I'd nod. "Yeah, hectic," hating how smooth it sounded, how easy the lie slipped out, how I'd gotten so good at painting over the cracks. The worst wasn't the sneaking. It was the tangle, the way Josh's crooked smile started creeping into my quiet moments, the way I'd catch myself wondering what he was doing while Ben sat beside me, red pen scratching across a stack of quizzes. I loved Ben. Deep, unshakable, the man who'd held me through my dad's chemo, who'd painted our bedroom with me at 2 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. But Josh was a live wire, a rush that lit me up, and I was splitting, caught between them, drowning in both. The weeks stretched. 6, then 7, a blur of stolen moments and half-truths. It wasn't just physical. It was the pull, the way Josh saw me. Not Ellie the wife, Ellie the designer, but Ellie the mess, the spark, the girl who'd once skinny-dipped in Cherry Creek Reservoir on a dare and laughed until she couldn't breathe. He'd text at odd hours, "Thinking about you," and I'd reply, "Dangerous habit," grinning in the dark while Ben slept, oblivious, his arms slung over my waist like a lifeline. At work, it was a dance. His foot nudging mine under the conference table, a whispered "You're killing me" when I'd lean over his desk to point out a typo, the air between us thick with something unspoken. We'd meet at dive bars, the Squire Lounge, Don's Club Tavern, places Ben wouldn't know, splitting pitchers of P-beer, laughing over nothing, hands tangling under chipped tables. Once we drove to a motel off I-25, a seedy joint with flickering neon and stained carpet, the thrill of it, check-in under his name, the door clicking shut, drowning the shame until I was back in my car staring at the dashboard swearing last time. But it never was. I'd tell myself I could stop, that I'd pick Ben, that I'd kill this thing before it grew teeth. Except it already had, and I was feeding it bite by bite, too hooked to let go. Ben started noticing, not the affair but me. "You seem off," he'd say over breakfast, his brow creasing as he buttered toast, and I'd shrug, "Just tired," piling lies like bricks. He'd hug me tighter those nights, kiss my forehead longer, like he could sense the drift and wanted to pull me back. I'd melt into him, guilt choking me, promising myself I'd end it, tomorrow, next week, soon, but then Josh text and I'd be gone again, chasing the high, losing myself in it. 7 weeks in, it blew apart. Sudden, brutal, a detonation I didn't see coming despite the fuse I'd lit myself. Ben had a staff meeting that night, said he'd be late. Budget crap might drag till 9. So I met Josh at a dive off Spear Boulevard, a hole in the wall called the Hornet with low lights, sticky floors, and a jukebox crooning Neil Young's Harvest Moon. We drank too much. Whiskey sours for him, vodka sodas for me. Laughed too loud, hands tangling under the table, his thumb tracing circles on my wrist until I couldn't think straight. We slipped out around 8, ended up at his place. A cluttered walk-up in Capitol Hill, posters of The Clash and Nirvana tacked to the walls. A futon piled with laundry he shoved aside. It was reckless. Clothes hitting the floor, skin on skin, the high blotting out the shame. Until my phone buzzed mid-moment, Ben's name glaring from the screen. "Meeting ended early, home now," it read, sent 20 minutes ago. Panic spiked. My car was at the bar, my story paper thin, and I bolted, yanking on my jeans, my sweater, muttering, "I gotta go," my voice sharp with dread. Josh grinned, sprawled shirtless. "See you tomorrow, trouble," and I tore out, speeding home down empty streets, heart hammering, rehearsing excuses. Traffic sucked, phone died, lost track. I walked in at 9:45, breathless, expecting Ben on the couch with a beer, ESPN droning. He was at the kitchen table instead, my phone in his hands, unlocked, a habit I'd never broken, and a new text from Josh glowing, "Still taste you." I stopped dead, ice flooding my veins as he looked up, hands trembling, eyes cold, hard, not the Ben I knew. "Who is this?" he asked, voice low, arctic, cutting through the silence like a blade. My mouth opened. Nothing came, just a choked "Ben." He stood, slow, deliberate, set the phone down like it burned him. "Don't," he said, sharp, final, and turned, grabbing his keys, his duffel from the hall closet. My world shattered, cracked wide open, a fault line I'd drawn myself. He didn't yell, didn't cry, just packed, silent, methodical, while I begged, voice splintering, tears streaming hot down my face. "It was nothing, Ben, please, I swear it's over." Lies crumbling, desperate as he shoved jeans, tees, his toothbrush into the bag, his movements robotic like he'd shut off everything but the task. 9 years, Ellie, he said, pausing by the bedroom door, back to me, voice breaking on the edge. Was it all bullshit? Was I just nothing? The words gutted me, tore through every flimsy excuse. "It's not you, it's me, I fucked up and left me hollow, bleeding." "No," I sobbed, reaching for his arm, but he pulled away, zipped the bag with a sound that echoed like a gunshot. "I trusted you," he whispered, more to himself, then walked out, past the living room where we danced to Fleetwood Mac last New Year's, past the kitchen where he'd burned pancakes for my birthday, past the life we'd built. The door clicked shut, soft, final, and I sank to the floor, the house a void, his mug on the counter, his sneakers by the mat, his Old Spice lingering on the throw blanket we'd bought at our. I called, texted, left voicemails he didn't answer. "I'm sorry, come back, I'll fix this." My throat raw, my hands shaking, but he was gone, crashing at his sister Kate's in Arvada, leaving me in a shell of us. Josh texted the next day, "What happened?" But I blocked him, killed it, the thrill sour and dead in my mouth. Ben filed for divorce 2 months later. Papers delivered cold in my mailbox, his signature steady where mine wobbled like a child's. I didn't fight. Couldn't, not when I'd lit the match, poured the gas and watched it burn for a few cheap highs. 4 months later, I'm still here, rattling around the bungalow. Can't sell, can't face the realtor, the memories carved into every scuff on the hardwood, every dent in the drywall from that time we hung shelves and missed the stud. I see Ben sometimes, his Tacoma at Sprouts on University, his silhouette at a light on Federal, and it's a knife every time, his face leaner, colder, a stranger eye unmade. I sit alone now, scrolling our old texts, "Love you, goof," "Home soon," "Made tacos," and wonder why I rolled the dice, why I traded steady, real love for a fleeting buzz that fizzled out the second it hit air. I lost him, My love, my rock, the man who'd held me through my worst. For what? A coworker's smirk, a backseat rush, a game I thought was harmless until it exploded, leaving me with nothing but regret, heavy and endless. A wound I carved myself, bleeding slow into the silence.